nothing down here is showing.
No, I don't think. Well, all right, everyone. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Anu Ojo, and we're coming to you live from Kiev, Ukraine. And guess what? DSA is 54, or will soon be 54. Well, I want to welcome everyone who is joining us from all over the world today. It's a wonderful day, and we are grateful to God for the gift of life. It's been such a challenging year, coupled with the challenge of COVID, that of 2020, and then this year. But we're grateful to God that we are alive, we're kicking, we're living, and we're here this year to celebrate our mentor, to some father, to some pastor, to some friend, Dr. Sunday Adelaja. So if you're watching us on Facebook right now, I'd like to encourage you to please go ahead and share. And if you're watching us on YouTube also, it will be great that you share this video with your friends, family, share on the DSA platform, on DSA family members platform, and let's get everybody on board. For the next 7-8 days, we are coming with a special program, basically to have Dr. Sunday's disciples, friends, family members to share on their personal experiences with Dr. Sunday. I think it is going to be such an exploratory moment for everyone, because I think everyone would have unique experiences with Dr. Sunday, and I think it will be amazing to hear and to learn from everyone who will be coming on the show for the next days. What has their experiences with DSA been like? Who is DSA to them? How has he impacted their lives on a personal level? Many people know Dr. Sunday as Pastor Sunday, the leader of the biggest church, in Europe, and the great man of God. But I think what we're trying to do for the next couple of days is to have people just share about experiences that you don't get to see on the screen, and I think that would be interesting. Some things that just happen behind closed doors that are not privy to everyone. That speaks volume about the personality and character of Dr. Sunday. I think one of the things we want to achieve with the programs we want to do for these days is to get to know the man DSA beyond his exploits, beyond his success, but who is Dr. Sunday on a personal level. And I'm hoping that this would help and bless everyone who will join to learn from Dr. Sunday's life, to learn from how he lives, and to learn from his devotion to God and his devotion to people. And of course, I'm not going to be alone doing this today. I'm here with my brother, Pastor Joshua Amatare. Good evening, sir.
Hi. It's good to be here. Thank you for that warm welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Joshua Amatare, coming to you live from Kiev, next to my brother and friend here, Dr. Anu Ojo. And this week we're going to be celebrating DSA, and we're not going to be doing it in the conventional way. Like you all know, DSA doesn't like to do things the way other people do them. And he likes to do things with reason. He likes to do things from an intentional point of view, not from an instinctive or from a commonality point of view. So he wants us this week to talk about how we personally know him as a person and the impact that he has had on our lives. And since we've had the privilege of being with him here for a few years, I can assure you that we're going to be sharing with you some things that have happened behind the scene that makes him the way he is and that makes him operate the way he does. Now, I'm sure a lot of you who have followed him for a while might have heard him and listened to some of his teachings, but then it's going to be from a different perspective, because we are now the ones who are on the receiving end of everything he was doing. And we're going to be telling you how we felt, the impact it had on us, and how far we've come so far. And it's going to be an interesting ride. We're going to be talking to a lot of people who have known DSA for several years. Some of them have known him for over 10 years.
Yeah.
So they're going to be sharing with you their experiences so that you will understand that what you're seeing today was not just created yesterday. It's something that has been in the making for a long time, and DSA has been consistent over the years in his message of the kingdom, in his character, in his love, in his energy, in his passion for people, for the kingdom, and what have you. So we're going to be sharing with you some interesting stories as we celebrate his 54th birthday. He's one unique person who I've seen that at the age of 50 said he was ready to die. So that means this 4 years is like added time, right?
Extra.
Yeah, it's like extra time. So we're going to be using his story to make us realize that this is something that we also can accomplish. If you're above the age of 50 already, it's not too late to start. But his life is just going to be like a blueprint so that we'll understand how to properly live life and how to live life to the fullest and how to make sure that you're intentional every single day of your life and you're making a difference and you're leaving a mark in the footprint, or you're leaving a footprint in the sands of time, so that when you leave this world, you would, the world will know that somebody like you was here. And that's the purpose for why we've been put here, to make a difference. So I hope you stay with us all week. Please share this link with your friends. Tell them to come celebrate with us, DSA friends, family, even those who are skeptics and are not really, liking DSA style. The Bible says we should rejoice with those that rejoice. So we're rejoicing this week, and we hope you can really join us within the next 7 days leading up to the 28th. That is going to be DSA's main birthday as we celebrate together. So it's going to be one heaven of a time. I hope you stay with us and you join us. So as we're beginning, I would like to ask Dr. Anojo his first experience with DSA. What was it like the first time you met DSA? What was the first impression that you had about him?
Very interesting question. It was, my very first experience was 2016. This was the time when Dr. Sunday, with the assistance of some amazing people here, organized the History Makers training. This time not for delegates, from other countries, but the delegates were students in Ukraine. And I came 2016 for the History Makers training. And my first impression, because I heard about Dr. Sunday, definitely. I mean, you can't be in Ukraine without hearing about Pastor Sunday, especially being a Christian. But there's this impression that we have, or this idea that we have, that as a pastor on that level, you don't get to see them. So they are not accessible. Mm-hmm. So there was this History Makers training for students that was supposed to be held during the summer. So I got invited because I was pastoring at that time. So, but I was like, I really don't know much about this man, and I'm not sure what he has to offer, because I really did not pay attention to him. So there was an assistant of mine that I said, just go ahead and go check what he's about, and then come back and give me the news of what this man is about. I mean, I didn't even know, and I to be honest, I really didn't care. But he came for the History Makers training during the summer, and then he returned, and he was all over the moon. It was like, no, Pastor Anu, you need to meet this man. You need to go. This man has so much passion. He loves people, fire, everything. So it was like, they're organizing another one come December, January, that it would be great if I go. So I said I was going to come. So I came in, and I was just, the feeling you have where you're like, am I really in the same room with the same Pastor Sunday that I've heard so much about? Mm-hmm. So I was just in awe, and I was looking at him. But, he's a very simple human being. So the very first thing I saw was that we have a lot of similarities, especially with our laughter. So during the History Makers training, I saw how he was so free. Mm-hmm. He wasn't uptight like, I'm the man of God. You sit down and
my loyal subjects.
Yes, whatever. So he was teaching and he was laughing, and then he would walk and then give somebody a high five. And I was like, this man is laughing
with touching us.
Just touching us, and and I was just in awe the very first day I came, and I was, thrown away by how free and down to earth he was. I mean, he is, and he's still now, very, and we're all students, we're like those his children, and they were just laughing, playing, and, just very open to us. And that was the very first thing that really, touched me about him, without me even knowing so much about him, that how can this man, being top man, he was in the same room, he was one teaching us. And I said all of that to say that I've also been in similar situations, but you don't get to see the set man to be the one conducting those trainings, because what happens is that you see the set man's face, the big man, but then you see his assistant pastors, so he doesn't get to show up, or maybe if he shows up,
he doesn't have one-on-one interaction.
No one-on-one, but he was there morning, afternoon, night, teaching us. It was fascinating, and I was just I was blown away. That was my very first impression about him.
Amazing.
What about you?
I hope. Oh well, I'm going to share mine, but I want to comment on yours.
Yeah.
I believe that has been a lot of people's experience, and it's not just yours.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are always taken aback by how simple Pastor Sunday is. And he's somebody who, as simple as he is, it doesn't take away from his sophistication or from his wisdom or from his strength or passion. A lot of people feel like that uptightness is what you need to carry the anointing you get, or is what makes you the big man. But you notice that no matter how much he jokes, it doesn't take away from him in any way. It even endears you more to him in the sense that, like you said, you're appreciative that somebody of his stature or somebody of his knowledge and a level of accomplishment is able to interact with you so freely. So he lifts you up. You suddenly feel bigger. You suddenly feel better about yourself. You don't feel small when you're in his presence, right?
True.
So that's what I got from what you said. That you came in. And let me also comment on your assistant. Not many people are willing to even send their assistants to go listen to other pastors. A lot of them are afraid that I might lose this guy. or I thank God your assistant who was attentive, because like we can see from the Bible, some spies came back with bad reports. And yours came back with good reports and was able to push you to come. So I hope that a lot of people are learning from this experience, that sometimes there are some things you need to experience for yourself so that you are a better judge of the situation and you don't miss out on important things. I feel like my first encounter with DSA was, it was eye-opening and shocking at the same time. I didn't know how to feel. I was just, sometimes I would be shocked, other times I would be wowed. I was, I'm not coming from a pastoral background where I know how pastors are treated. I was keeping my distance because you're not supposed to interrupt men of God. You're not supposed to get too close except they call you up and things like that. But he was very different. I saw him from afar at first. I didn't get to meet him. A pastor friend of mine, or of my dad, came to Ukraine and he said I should come over. Then I was still in school. And when I came in, there was a huge program going on. There were lots of people around, pastors from all over the world. And I saw DSA in church. And then he had a meeting here in the house. So when he was having the meeting, I was in the room. So he asked somebody to call me. So I was surprised. I said, why would he call me? Because at the time, I did not want to be a pastor. I was not even living a Christian life per se. That was still in my enjoyment phase. I wanted to experience life for myself. So when he said they should call me in, I felt odd. I was like, why does he want me in a meeting with GOs? These people, I was sitting down with, people who were pastoring their own churches in Europe, in North America, and what have you. Some of them came from Nigeria as well. So he said I should sit in on the meeting, and I saw how he was laying into pastors who were, some of them probably twice his age, if not, or something of that nature. He was the youngest. But I saw his passion and I saw his love for God, and I saw he was challenging them. He was asking them, he said, how long have you been in ministry? And some of them would say, I've been in ministry for 25 years. And he would say, how many people have you reached? And some of them couldn't even give a substantial amount. But he was very precise. He said, in so year, we've reached 5 million people. We've reached 2.5 million people in this field. We've reached 7 million people. And I've not seen a pastor talk like that before. And I was really surprised by it and also impressed, because I said he was somebody who was keeping score and he was intentional about everything he was doing. I've heard CEOs talk like that, because if you're going to do business, you have to be somebody who loves numbers. You have to be able to keep stock of what you're doing. And I saw that as a pastor, he was doing the same thing. He wasn't just talking about souls that have been won or people who come to church. He was talking about influence in society. He was saying, we've reached 5 million people. We've been able to change this and that in society by pushing so amount of people to do so amount of things. And I saw his mentality of cause and effect. And I noticed another thing, that everything he was talking about in that meeting, nothing had to do with miracles. Everything he was talking about was something he put in place as a system that brought about a specific goal being accomplished. So I was like, wow, this is a kind of ministerial angle that I have never seen before. I grew up in a pastor's house. I grew up in a church of 10,000 people, always, on minimum. So I was used to seeing crowds. So I wasn't moved by the crowd, but I was moved by how much passion he had and how much results he wanted the pastors who came here to have. So he wasn't just content with them sitting around enjoying him preach. It's almost like he wanted to transplant himself into them, telling them, hey, look, guys, you should be doing more. There's no way you should be a pastor for 20 years and your country wouldn't know that you're there. There's no way you'll be a pastor for 10 years and your city doesn't even recognize that you're in that place. And it's like, why did you leave Nigeria to go all the way to the UK? And nobody in the UK knows you're there. You're just doing a little church with your Nigerian friends, and it's almost like you're in Nigeria, but you just happen to be in UK this time. So my first impression of DSA was somebody who genuinely loved God and who genuinely wanted to see people be the best that they could be as pastors, as business people, and what have you. And I saw that he really, really, in spite of how harsh he was towards them, because I was surprised, I'm not used to seeing younger people now going after older men and older women. I come from a culture of, if somebody's older, you have to bow before them, be careful with them. It's not like he was rude, but he was so forceful in his message. And I saw that they accepted it because they could see what he was saying. They could understand what he was saying because they could see that he had the results. So he wasn't just talking from a place of knowledge. He was talking from a place of experience. And they could see that this man knew what he was talking about. They came here to see it, and they could see the results for themselves. I think it was a summer fast, if I'm not mistaken. It was a summer fast. So I was just sitting behind watching him, take on all of these guys. And after that meeting, I didn't say anything. I just snuck back to my room, and that was my first impression of Dr. Sunday Adelaja. So it was quite an interesting one, and it's something I will never forget. Fantastic.
And I would just talk about some of the things that you said, and I would try to put some from what I've seen also from Pastor Sunday. You talked about Dr. Sunday's love for God and love for people. And to be very honest, now it sounds very simple. What I'm about to say sounds very simple, but I'd not heard it said in that fashion. And the sense that it makes for me now is deeper than just the rhetorics. And what was that statement that I heard from Dr. Sunday? That you cannot love God without loving man. Sounds very basic. Sounds very self-evident, like very obvious. It's
obvious, yeah.
Like, okay, it's obvious. You cannot love God without loving man, But I never heard it said that way, and I really never saw it in demonstration as I've seen Dr. Sunday demonstrate that I love God, and I don't just love God by going to church or by just singing I love you, Lord, but you see my love for God in a practical love for people around me. And there's something remarkable about the way Dr. Sunday shows his love. It comes across like a force. And I think love itself is one of the greatest force, on earth. And as you're talking about how Dr. Sunday is challenging those pastors there that are older than him, some people might sit on the sideline and look at the way he's challenging them and be like, why is this man talking like this to these people? They're older than him. They've been in ministry longer than him. But why is he calling them and say, hey, stand up? How many years have you spent in ministry? Okay, show me
your result.
Your result. What is the proof? It might come across as this man being braggadocious and trying to, show off. But the more I understudied Dr. Sunday, I realized that that itself is Dr. Sunday's expression of love for people, and it is coming from his passion and his desire for people to live their optimum, to just do the best that they can do and do the best for the kingdom, and it comes like an energy, and that's why I've experienced many HMCs here, many trainings here. It is as though there is this kind of energy and fire that comes, and I think we're going to talk about it. Where when you are in Dr. Sunday's presence, and I'm not saying this to hype him, but anyone who has been around him or has been under his training and his teaching and is talking about any subject, the energy from his person and his presence would put so much fire in you that if you came into that service or to that training with low self-esteem, thinking that there's nothing you can do, to make your life better, you are leaving that training not just getting your self-esteem issues fixed, but now you are leaving that place knowing that you can be a savior and a deliverer for your generation and how you can change your world.
That message will be passed across clearly. You will not be ambiguous about it. And you're right.
It just is remarkable, and how that actually is an expression of Dr. Sunday's love for people. And it just goes overboard, with it, and trying to just make people realize that, no, I mean, you can do it, you can make an impact, It's really, really remarkable.
His energy is very contagious. The love that he has for people is very evident for you to see. If the truth is that most people who listen to Dr. Sunday online and have harsh comments about him or are not big fans of his because of his style, I hope they get to meet him someday, because when you meet him, your opinion will completely change about who he is, and you will then get to understand his motive, because a lot of people don't understand where he's coming from most of the time. They only see short clips and they believe that this is all he's saying, but they don't get to see that there is a lot of foundation to what he's saying. There's a lot of love in what he's saying. There's a lot of passion, and there's a lot of genuine, concern for people in all that he does. And it's usually lost on a lot of people because we're very emotional, especially our Nigerian and African people,
Also,
are really emotional. But if you can take the emotions out of it and really take time to listen to beyond a few minutes, and really take time to listen to everything in its entirety, you'll quickly realize and come to the conclusion that it's really coming from a place of love. He genuinely loves people. And that's something that you would not miss if you meet him. You will not see him hating. I have gotten to see Pastor Sunday in the most hostile of environments. When I came here, I followed him to court, and I saw how people were spewing so much vitriol and anger at him. And I saw that he didn't even react back to them in anger. I'm talking about a mob of people, tens of people screaming at him, insulting him, just, saying the most vile things at him. But he didn't say anything. He just kept his mouth shut. And it just reminded me of when the Bible talked about how Jesus was being attacked and how the Bible says he didn't open his mouth and stuff like that. That was how he was. And normally it's one thing for you to control yourself when you're in public, because you're a public figure and whatever you do gets, gets recorded. But then when we left, I saw that even behind the scenes, it didn't seem to affect him. It didn't faze him. So it's not like he pretended when he was in public, and then when he went into private, he exploded and became angry, and we could feel it that, okay, he was just trying to act. He just continued. In fact, it was as if it never happened. So that love is something that is genuinely a part of him, and it's something that I aspired to have. Because when I saw that, I said, if you're going to be an effective leader, what Jesus talked about, that you must love one another, he perfectly embodies that. Yeah. I may not say perfectly, but it's the most that I've seen on any level. I've met a lot of pastors, anointed, eloquent, knowledgeable, powerful, but his level of love is something else.
Yeah,
and you would, like I said, you would feel it. It's not something someone will have to describe to you. And that's how I understood that this is genuine love. Because if somebody has to describe to you what love means without you feeling it, I'm not sure that's really love. But you will really feel this for yourself, and you will know that, okay, I'm in the presence of somebody who genuinely loves. And the way he takes, a lot of interest in you as a person. He finds out your needs. He even begins to say things that you didn't tell him. And it's like, have I met this guy before? So he is like immediately switches into that spiritual mode of a thing, but he doesn't do it in a spooky way.
Yeah.
He does it in such a loving way that would leave you, you know, a little bit shocked in your mind that how is he knowing this stuff? How is he? It's like he has met me before and he's just addressing issues that I've not even told him. So that's something that I really learned from him, and it's something I'm working on. Because if I'm going to be effective as a leader, as a pastor, as a national transformer, that level of love is something that is needed. Everybody must feel it when they listen, when they see me, when I touch them. That's the way Jesus was. That's the way he is. And that's something that I aspire to be. And I'm sure Dr. Anu too is somebody who wants to be just like that.
Exactly. And, you know, moving on to from our first experience, I'm curious to, I have my own story, but I'm also curious to hear yours, but maybe I will start with mine. How we got to living in the same house with Dr. Sunday. And I think that's something that a lot of people who are watching, who are not in Ukraine, might be curious to know what it means to live in this close proximity with Dr. Sunday. And I think I want to start with how I even got to ask Dr. Sunday if I could come to his house to live. So I was in a different city, yeah. Right. I'll start with my story. So I was in a different city, and I got Dr. Sunday's email, his personal email, and I mean that by itself is a big deal for you to actually have the personal email for a big pastor, and then it's a different thing for you to write him and for him to respond. Yeah. So I wrote Dr. Sunday that day, and I composed the mail. Okay, this is who I am. I was in the previous HMT, and I wasn't sure if he remembered me, you know. So what I did was, hey, don't judge me. I went to the recorded program, the recorded HMT, and then I went and I just like cut out the section where I was, so that you could actually see my face, you know, that, okay, sir,
I remember that.
This is the guy that came for this training, and I would like to come. And, you know, that time I was not even coming to live as such, but just to come spend the summer with him in his house. So I sent the email, and to be honest, I wasn't hoping that he would respond. I just wanted to just shoot my shot.
Okay.
That, you know, like it would be fantastic for me to come over and just be with him and spend time with him in his house, you know, and I didn't know what it was going to look like. So I composed the email and I sent it to him. And guess what? In less than 24 hours, he wrote back to me and he said, hey, hello, you know, something along that, yeah, it will be fantastic to have you, something like that, oh, this is my assistant's number. I still have the email. Wow. So it was like, it will be great to have you. This is my assistant number. Call him and tell him that I said, I'll be happy to receive you. Who? I was like, you know, I was like, hell no, like how? This is why I responded, and he said, so I was excited. I was like, wow, because, you know, someone in Ukraine is not, you know, it can be very, very boring, especially if you want to live in the straight and narrow, you know. So I was like, wow, so I'll be spending my summer with Pastor Sunday. So I reached out to his assistant here and I said, okay, hello, this is me. I want to come. And then I came to the house and I was thinking, okay, maybe I'll just be somewhere and just see a few times. But guess what? I came, he asked, okay, is the person I'm expecting. So you know how you come and you feel like I'm not so significant that, you know, you should even care about. So when I came, then they said, oh, Dr. Sunday is actually asking of you, you know, he was expecting you. I'm like, ooh, he was expecting me. I was like, he was expecting me. So I came and then he saw me, you know, he paid attention to me and he was asking me questions about myself on a more personal level. And I could see that this man is really interested in knowing me and knowing my story, you know. And then he was just asking me about, okay, where are you, you know, where are you from? Okay, what are you doing? And then I was just talking and I was like, wow. And then we spent hours just gisting and talking and laughing, and I was like, no. And then guess what? I was here and he didn't even ask me for any dime to pay. Because I was already thinking that, okay, maybe I would come and then I would pay for, the rent here and then for the food.
Feeding. Nothing.
Nothing. So I didn't pay for the house rent or because I had a room. I didn't pay for the feeding. I was eating in the kitchen. And that was the beginning of everything. As a matter of fact, there's even a video that I did with him that time. And I was just thrilled, by how accessible he is and how interested he is, with someone he doesn't necessarily know or he has not met, but so welcoming. And he says, "Okay, yeah, come to my house, live with me," and then he will call us in the evening and say, "Come over, like don't just stay in your room and be." Be bored there and just be doing your thing. Come around, come to the room. I'm here. Let's talk. Let's read. Let's discuss things. And you don't get to see a lot of this, And so that was the very first time I came here to spend time with him. And then I think after like a year, I moved to Kiev, and then I decided to stay here for a longer time. But I don't know if you have a similar story about how you moved.
Yeah, like. My own stories. I wrote the same email to him. Yeah. After my pastor friend or my dad's mentee sent me the connections and everything. Yeah. I was going through turbulence in ministry at the time. I was also pastoring. I was in school. I was about to graduate. So I said I needed to see Dr. Sunday, or I needed to see Pastor Sunday. So I came in, and he told them to call me. I came. He first gave me a hug. So that was first, I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
This is different. We don't hug where I'm from. Men of God. You don't just see them for the first time.
Always bless you. Bless
you will be lucky if you shake their hands, but then hug, that's taking it a step too far. Yeah. So that first floored me, and I was like, okay, this is on another level. So then we started talking. I started telling him my issues. He listened so intently. You could hear him listening. If that's something that he really listens. And he doesn't forget. So, and you will know that he's listening to you, because the next time you see, he will be able to pick up that conversation like, you're just one of the 5 people he talks to. Meanwhile, he's somebody who leads tens of thousands of people. Yeah. So we spoke, and, he was really, like you said, he really cared. You could see the concern. And I told him I needed prayer. And he said, I'm not even sure what you need is prayer. So I was like, okay, all right. So he finished telling me all that he needed to tell me. He counseled with me. He told me, don't worry, everything is going to be fine. You don't have to panic. Your life is just beginning. So he was just so uplifting and encouraging that when I was done, all of the weight that was on me just got lifted.
Yeah.
But then he still gave me what I wanted. He still prayed for me. So it's not like he just gave me what he felt, but he also came to my level and he was like, okay, since this young man believes that he needs prayers, I'm going to pray for him. So I saw that he really cared, and he prayed for me at that time, and I felt great. I went back to school and I was like, wow, being with Dr. Sunday is something else, because he took care of everything. Like he said, I didn't have to pay a dime. And he was like, you can come back anytime. I'm always here. And, you can come and just hang around and see how I operate, see the way I do things, see the way I interact with people. Come and fellowship with us in the church. Even if you don't understand the language per se, just be around and experience for yourself what it's like being here. And I noticed that that's something that he likes to do. He likes to take you along.
Yeah.
He doesn't just leave you behind to figure things out for yourself. He likes to bring you along. He will always tell you, hey, come along with me. If he's going for an event, he'll be like, oh, I'm going to this place. Do you want to come?
Yeah.
So he never just leaves you to, figure things out for yourself. And you're like, oh, so this pastor is here. No, he always wants to carry you along. If he's going for a burial, he will say, come along.
Going for a walk.
If he's going for a walk, come along. If he's going for lunch, come along. If he's going for just a meeting to meet friends and, other pastors, come along. If he's doing book editing, come along. And when you're there, he will involve you in the discourse. He would like to know what you think, how you feel, and it's always a treat being with him. It's always an uplifting
big deal.
And an encouraging and empowering experience being with Dr. Sunday. So I really enjoyed my first time with him. Oh, I remember once we went to church as well, and after the service, I thought I would just go home. He said, no, that we should come eat together. So I was shocked by that. I was like, what? He wants me to eat with him? So they came. They served us on this very big table, and it was like, "What do you want to eat?" I was like, "Really? This is not normal.
It's remarkable. No.
This is not normal behavior." And this was what the first or the second time I was meeting him one on one. I was like, "No, something is off here." But I saw that he was so pleased to have me, and he told them to bring what I wanted. And then as I was eating, he too was eating with so much enthusiasm and happiness. And he was asking me, "Are you okay? Do you want them to bring more?" He said, "Young men, you like to eat. You have big appetite. Do you want more food?" And I was like, trying to take it easy. You don't want to come into a place on the first day and begin to eat all of the food. So I was very self-conscious. And he said, "If you want more, we could get more for you and everything." So he made me feel free, relaxed, and happy. And it was such a beautiful experience. So I was really pleased by that, and I was really surprised at the same time. And I said, I need to be more like this, because it's not something I've experienced. I'm used to status quo of keeping people in their place, making sure that everybody, is properly, put in where they need to be, acting the way they need to act. But he just broke that barrier for me, and he just made it look like, And he said something once when I was trying to find out where that ideology came from. He said it's a Jesus thing. He said Jesus was always with the disciples. He said he touched them. Peter was putting his head on his laps and stuff. Mary Magdalene came in, was brushing his hair. So when he started saying those things, that was when it occurred to me that truly this is how Jesus lived. So where did we get our own protocol kind of lifestyle from? Jesus was accessible. Yeah. Anybody could touch him. The lady with the issue of blood, right? Yeah. She was like, if I can just touch. So she walked and she struggled to get to the front and she touched him. Touching pastors these days is like, I think God is a lot more accessible than some pastors. But he breaks that barrier and you're able to relate with him, talk to him, touch him, have fun, and, be blessed at the end of the day. So, yeah, that was my own experience.
No, beautiful. And I'm right listening to you. I'm having a lot of experiences that I just want to talk about how Dr. Sunday is life as a model to many people, and talking about access and how is humility. I just want to talk about that and how that translates to anyone in that environment also modeling that kind of lifestyle. I remember there was a time where, just like you rightly said, if Dr. Sunday is having a meeting with even big people, I mean, I've been opportune, and I'm sure you also have been opportune to be in the meetings with Dr. Sunday and some other very big pastors who ordinarily, if you met those pastors or those people outside, maybe in their churches or on the streets, there are people who would not necessarily even pay attention to you or look at you, not to even have a conversation with you. But there's something about Dr. Sunday being a model of, okay, if you are a big pastor and you're coming to me and you're saying, sir, yeah? And me that you're saying, sir, too, this small boy that you might disregard on the street is the one that I'm actually taking with me and is by my side. So you cannot disregard him while you are here. So because you are seeing how I am uplifting him and I'm making him, a personality. So what happens? People who might have been like this outside, when they come into the environment with Dr. Sunday, when you see Dr. Sunday being very simple, if you are doing like this, you'll be so ashamed. You'll be questioning yourself that what's wrong with my shoulders? Let me put the shoulders down and be relatable. And I don't know if Dr. Sunday consciously does that, but it just influences everybody that comes across, here. And I can't just help but, remember many experiences where very big people come to the house, or we go for meetings, and I see how they are accessible, they are paying attention to you, they are greeting you, and they're seeing it as an example, as a model from Dr. Sunday, that, I treat him the same way I would treat you, even though he's not a big pastor like you, but I respect him too, because he carries in himself, the image and the likeness of God. He's God's child. He's my brother. So I give him as much respect as I would also give you, that you're a big pastor. And it is that model life that I see in Dr. Sunday, and that's just one, but in even many areas. And I think it would be great for us to talk about how Dr. Sunday has been a model for us, things that we never paid attention to. But when we came close to Dr. Sunday and we noticed from his lifestyle what he does, how he does what he does, how he became a model for us. Because I think that that's something that we really don't have nowadays. We have a lot of people who talk the talk and who paint the ideal situation. They talk about the ideal, they talk about what should be or what could be, but they're not able to exemplify it with their lives. But Dr. Sunday, to the best of his ability, has tried to exemplify a lot of things. Embody those things that I see, and I'm like, okay, I see a model, and I can actually learn from him, and I can be that. I don't know what you can make of it.
Yeah, like you said, we could go all day. I could do all week, a whole week's program, just talking about the different things that he models. But let me start with hard work, or I'll just summarize by starting with hard work. He's somebody who is very hardworking. It's not something that is normal, and I believe that when you encounter people who are in the top 5% or 3% or 1% of the world, you'll quickly realize that these people are not like everybody else. Now, their results are not miraculous in that sense. They work towards what it is that they want. Now, the kind of work they do is different from the way every other person does their own work. They work on a much higher level. They work at a more intensive level. They work at a more intentional and precise level. There's no room for mistakes. There's excellence. There's diligence seen in everything that they do. So I noticed that about DSA, and I saw that his work ethic was beyond what I've ever experienced before. If I wasn't experiencing it myself, it would have been hard for me to understand. Now, he's somebody who sleeps for just 4 hours every day. At that time, when I began working with him continuously on a day-to-day basis, he could write me messages at 2 a.m. in the morning, 3 a.m. in the morning, and I'm like, how is he not sleeping?
And then 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. he's dropping another message.
I'm telling you. I'm like, why is he not sleeping? Is he not tired? And then he just keeps going. And then when you make mistakes, it takes him just a few seconds to find it. And it's like, this is a mistake, go back and do it again. And at a point in time, you begin to consider leaving and running away for your life. But then you realize that if I don't go through this pressure, I'll remain mediocre, I'll remain ordinary. But if you want to push yourself, you have to get out of your comfort zone and begin to really be the way you're supposed to be, which is an excellent person. And then he makes you that way. And if you're willing to work, and if you're willing to take all of the pressure, you will come out better for it. So he would make sure that you do the right thing over and over and over again, and then he will correct you over and over and over again until you get it right. So I saw that work ethic was something that was remarkable. We could be working on an article back then, we'll be working for about 8 hours straight, and he will be dictating, we'll be doing research, I'll be typing. When it was done, he will be like, make sure that you go through it, correct all the mistakes, put it in the proper frame, send it to me. He looks at it, he sends it back to me again, and he's like, do this, do that, and the other. And it's extremely hectic, but it's extremely rewarding as well. Beautiful. So I saw that hard work is something that a lot of people don't pay attention to. They only see the finished product. A lot of people just admire what you see on the outside, because that's like the last phase of everything. But there's a lot of work that goes on behind, and DSA works very, very hard. He doesn't waste time. He doesn't waste... In fact, back then when we were transiting from church to the house, it takes maybe 45 minutes or thereabout, maybe almost an hour sometimes, depending on the traffic. He would be doing something constructive in the car. He uses a bus. He doesn't like using cars. It's like these small cars, there's no space. You cannot really do anything. So we're walking while we're on our way back. And then sometimes he will be like, he will not say anything. He will be like, I'll take a nap. He closes his eyes for 5 minutes, and then he opens it up, and he's like, yes, that article that I gave you yesterday, let us go through it. And then I was always with my laptop, so I had to bring it out, and then we'll start typing, we'll start walking. So it was like we were taking our office with us wherever we were, and we were always on the go. And I saw that that kind of intentional work is what brings about results and is what brings about change. And I saw how detailed he was as well. He's extremely detailed. He doesn't let anything slide, both in his thought process and in the way there's in the execution of the project. Very, very precise. DSA does not let anything just go to waste. He will tell you that if you're slacking this, you will be slacking every other thing. So he always wants everything to be excellent and very well detailed. So if he brings up a topic and he wants to, talk about it, he talks about it from so many angles that at the end of that, at the end of that article or that message, it will be hard for you to look and see too many things he has not talked about, if any at all. So I saw that that's also part of work, because a lot of people think work is just physical. But I saw with DSA that mental work is the most important kind you can ever do. His mental work is so intense that he studies every day. He used to tell me back then, he said, I read 4 hours every day. I have to, make sure that I know what I'm doing. So he's like, you need to do the same. I saw when we were editing books, we will read maybe a book a day, and we'll have to edit it and stuff like that. I remember the first day that he told me that we're going to edit a book. Now, this book was about 60,000 words, and he said we're going to finish it that day. I thought that it was a joke. I said, well, let's see how this will go. I actually ended up, reading those 60,000 words that day. And then while we're reading, we're correcting, we're adding, we're subtracting. And at the end, I was like, if they told me before now that I could read a book a day, not just reading it in your mind, reading it out loud and editing it, I would not believe it was possible. But with DSA, that became, and then I saw that it expanded me. My capacity automatically grew. Yeah. I saw that I was now able to process information faster. I was now able to read faster. I was now able to, do things a lot faster and a lot more effectively than before. The kinds of mistakes I was making, I wasn't making them anymore. I was now seeing a lot of things that I couldn't see before. So I saw that work on his level is not something that a lot of people are used to. And I realized that if you're going to be productive as a human being, you have to be working very hard on a high level. You cannot just say, oh, I'm working hard and just be doing things physically. He used to tell me, he said, it's people who don't use their minds who end up walking in the sun with their hands. Mm-hmm. He said, if you properly use your mind, you will do less with your hands. You will be productive. You will be somebody who will constantly have products that will be changing the world. Yeah. So what about you? Tell me of your own experience.
Man, as I'm listening to you too, many of your stories definitely connect, because we have similar experiences. I mean, Dr. Sunday's work ethics is, it's Joshua, can you believe Dr. Sunday is 54?
It's hard to believe. He has the energy of somebody who is 25.
This man is 54. And on many, talking about his work, we go on walks together. Sometimes it's a struggle to keep up with Pastor Sunday's pace. Mm-hmm. And this man is 54, was still very young compared to
boundless
him.
Boundless energy. You'll be wondering how he's doing it.
Where's he getting the energy from? How? Although he has written many books about the veritable source of energy and all of that, but this...
He's that moving veritable source. He's a force of nature.
And then his work ethics is just... And I love what you said, and I'm just going to say a little about that, how Dr. Sunday pushes you beyond your limits, or the limits
your
comfort zone. And I remember one statement that Sunday said that literally revolutionized my mind. And he said, comfort is a trap. Mm-hmm. And he said, anytime I begin to feel like I'm getting comfortable, I push myself out. I know that's a problem. That is that's a problem.
Dead.
Yeah, that's the problem. So I'm never seeking comfort. And when I begin to feel like, okay, I'm comfortable, it's like, no, I need to push myself. And to be honest, being with Dr. Sunday for the past years, I still try to get my head around that concept. Because sometimes I see Dr. Sunday, I'm like, Pastor, you don't need to do this. Oh my gosh.
It's avoidable. We can boycott this part.
But still, to be honest, Because the thing there is, I can give many examples. I see how pastor is almost like he puts himself on the line.
He's always pushing the boundaries.
Yeah, he puts himself on the line, and one would think, why are you always looking for trouble? Like, trouble is on his own. Like, trouble is on his own, and he's there. But pastor, you can just ignore and do your thing. You don't need to address. But pastor, he will not. I mean, look at, even with his articles that he writes, the most recent one on Ududua, right? And pastor was done with the article, and it's like about 70 pages of articles. And because I understand the process of coming up with that, and I kind of I know what he did to get all of that done. Hours of work, hours of study. And then he starts talking about it, and everybody starts getting at him and lashing back and talking evil about him. And I'm like, Pastor, if you did not talk about this Odudua, nobody would talk evil about you.
Nobody will blame you.
Nobody will blame you. Pastor's like, no, why would I talk about it? I can't just help. I have to do it. I have to talk. And that really blows my mind to see how pastor pushes himself, and it's almost like he's sacrificing himself. Like, pastor, you can have peace of mind. I mean, like, to be honest, like, this is some of my thoughts in my room when I'm thinking. I'm like, pastor, do you know, if you don't do anything again, and you just stay in your room, or you just stay, okay, for the rest of my life, I am my princess, I would just want to enjoy our lives. Pastor, all what you have done till date, you've etched your name in the sands of time. You can never be forgotten. And you don't need to do anything again. You have made history. But guess what? Pastor Sunday will not stop.
He doesn't know how to stop. I don't think it's in his DNA at this point.
He will see. People insult him that you are writing books that people don't read. Guess what? He's writing books.
He will tell you, I'm not writing it for you. I'm writing it 300 years from now. I'm writing it for people who are coming after you. You will get it someday.
He's writing books. Somebody insulted him that this useless man in Ukraine that is just writing books and publishing every week that nobody's reading. Guess what? Every week he's still producing books. And I'm like, and it's almost like, and being with him, it's almost like when I think that, okay, so we are done now, right? So maybe we can have like a week for break. There's something I should tell people here, right? This is just like, by the way, this place work not they finish.
At all. It doesn't finish. Work here doesn't have an end.
Work does not finish. And there are two things you can either do if you are close to Dr. Sunday and you want to work in his team. It's either you are sold out to saying, I'm ready to push myself, and I'm ready to work, and I'm ready to pay the price, or you just run away.
Those are your two options. It's either you stay and face the fire, or you run.
Yeah, either you stay and you do the work, and and then you go through the process, or you come, you feel the heat, and you just say, Pastor Sunday,
I'll be seeing you.
Thank you very much, sir. Let me quickly go and check something. Let me go away, because there's always something to do.
And you hold it against you. You just laugh. You say, it's like that our guy. It's like he took off.
You take, to be honest, he won't hold it against you. And that's one thing I also love about Pastor Sunday. I think people don't understand that he's not the kind of leader that controls and says he wants to keep you, If you come to him and you say, I want to learn, I want to be under your tutelage, and I want to train with you, okay, yeah, you can come. My doors are opened. If tomorrow you come and you say, Pastor Sunday, I think I have to go. I have to leave. Guess
Set
what?
you free.
He would, he would bless
Bless
you.
you, yeah.
He would bless you and even help you with
On your way.
on your way. Like you wouldn't just leave empty-handed. You know, you would either if you're where you're going to, he can connect you with someone there, or either he's going to help you some way with resources, finances, anyway. You know, he lets you go. He doesn't hold anybody down. And I think that's what many people don't even understand about Dr. Sunday. So they see people that maybe they were once with Dr. Sunday and they're not with him now, and they're like, you see. But Dr. Sunday is like,
I'm free.
I'm free. I don't hold on to anybody. I mean, if you come, you go. I mean, I remain the same. Doesn't take anything from me, and that is very, very remarkable about Pastor Sunday.
You said something about model. So I want to tell you how that has impacted me, right?
Yeah.
Because when you have a model, you're supposed to model your own self after that.
Yeah.
I began to see that my own work ethic changed and people started commenting on it. I didn't even notice it at that time because for me, it was now par for the course. Like I was just going with the flow and doing it like he would have wanted me to do it. And even when I was not with him, I saw the need to start working. I started enjoying it. I started, becoming more productive. And I said, wow, this is really life. Because back then he would be saying, oh, what are you doing? Wasting time with things like movies and series and all this stuff. He's like, yeah, he said, listening to music or even watching football. So I was like, okay, I like these things, but there are other things I can do that are going to be a lot more productive with my time. Yeah. So I saw that I was able to sit. I started working for 18 hours every day. And then I didn't even care. And these people around were like, wow, this guy, you're a workaholic, you're always working. And I was like, well, yeah, to me at that point it was part of my life. Yeah. So after a while I will now think, I'll be like, oh, this all came about when I started, hanging around Pastor Sunday. And I started learning from him. And I understood the importance of work, working long hours, working hard, making sure that you have plans, making sure that you're executing, making sure that at every step of the way you're checking, you're having backup plans, you're thinking things through, you're making sure that there's progress, and you're making sure you're influencing society, you're helping people. So my life completely changed, and I was able to model my own work ethic after his because I saw how productive his own was. And unknown to me, I started mirroring that, and over time, it became part of me, and it's still part of me till today. In fact, sometimes I'm always like, oh, I cannot afford to be lazy because in my mind, I'm seeing DSA doing it. And I'm like, this is what I should be doing. And like you said, he's 54. I'm like, I'm way too young to be slowing down. At my age, he was already pastoring the biggest church in Europe. So those things motivate me, and they make me to want to be more, to want to do more, because I know I have that capacity, and he has made me see that as well. Absolutely. So I said I should add that.
Absolutely. And I remember Dr. Sunday's first experience with me when I started writing books, and I never thought I could write books. I never thought, in my wildest dreams, I could actually write a book. And I started, gradually starting to write a book. And I remember there was this time he reached out to me and he said, I need this book, a particular book, to be edited as soon as possible. We had less than a week to do it. And he said, I know you can do it. And then he said, it will be great for you to start working on this book. And I was thinking, how will I pull off about 50, 60,000 words book in a week? I've not done that before. So he said, I know we need this book to be done, to be written, edited, and to be ready within the next few days. I said, okay. And there was something, the way he challenges you and he gives you energy, like he makes you know that you have the capacity, you can do it, just go for it. So I went into solitude. And guess what?
You did it.
I did it in less than 5 days.
Oh, wow.
To write like 60,000 words book in 5 days, I would never have thought it possible. And to do that, I think, like you were talking about working 18 hours, I think that time I was working on an average of 16 to 18 hours every day, just working on the book. And how I did it, I realized that it was coming from the process of, self-education, self-development, hard work, you push us, we're having meetings and we're tired, and he's there and we're looking at him and we're like, we can't say we're tired because this man
is still going.
He's still going. So you have to push, and you have to keep reading that book, and you have to keep working, and you're working late into the night, sometimes 1, 2, and it's fun. But it's remarkable how Dr. Sunday pushes you and helps you to actually achieve what you never have thought possible. And that is just one. And speaking about being a model, I also want to talk about how Dr. Sunday, modeled to me how to be a holistic human being. It's very easy to have your life compartmentalized and for you to be great in one area and the other area you are like
you're
deficient. But it's now, of course, this doesn't in any way, shape, or form, translate to anyone being perfect. But Dr. Sunday even helped me to understand what perfection is. That perfection does not mean, finished product. Perfection means striving. That's what perfection means. That to be perfect means you are constantly striving, trying your best every day to be who you could be, your potential. Yeah. And I see how he's been able to model being a holistic human being. How he's able to excel in his personal life as an individual, and he's excelling in his ministry, he's excelling in his family life. I see how he relates with his wife, with the kids. I see how he's excelling even with us, his staffs, and how he relates and how he maintains relationships with us. How when he needs to correct, how he corrects. When he needs to let us act stupid, he allows us to act stupid, and it doesn't make us feel more stupid. And then he calls us back as his sons and says, you see, what you did there, I think you should have done it in a better way, but don't worry, you're going to get better. You're going to keep working on yourself. Or maybe when he calls us and says, okay, I noticed that you've worked on this thing, good job, well done. Or when I do something that I was meant to do and then he sends a message and he tells me, I know you were meant to do this better, but you didn't do it. Pay attention to it. That, and then how he helps you. And to be honest, see, let me start by saying my own personal. Can you believe I didn't know how to introduce myself until I met Dr. Sunday? That's a shame.
And you had graduated at the time?
No, right? I was about getting to my final year. Okay. Imagine about getting to your final year as a medical student and you don't know how to introduce yourself. Guess what? Pastor Sunday taught me how to introduce myself. Because I came for that History Makers training and I wanted to introduce myself in a special way, I said. And I came and I said, I can't forget, that's the very first. And I said, oh, my name is Ojo Anulapo. And he was like,
What?
What did you just say? Oh, I said, then I said, my name is Ojo Anulapo. He said, is that one name? So I said, oh no, I said, my name is Anu, and then my surname is Ojo. Then he said, Pastor Sunday. And wait, even me that I'm a Yoruba man,
I can't even understand.
I couldn't even hear or even pick out your name. I mean, I'm a Yoruba man. Oh. So how do you expect other people who are here to pick out your name? And he started schooling me for like 30 minutes, guys. 30 minutes. This man was teaching me how to introduce myself.
I was there that day. He was not just teaching you even. He now started teaching everybody, but just using you as the case
an
study.
Example. And I'm like, ooh. And then, so guess what? When people see me now, you know what people tell me? They say, oh, hello, my name is Anu Ojo. Remember, they don't know the history of that, but that's the history. This man taught me how to introduce myself. Yourself. So when I see people now, while I'm having shows, I'm talking, and people don't know why I put so much emphasis, and they don't forget it. People don't forget my name anymore because he told me that, see, I know the reason why you're introducing yourself is not just because you want to open your mouth and talk. The reason why you're introducing yourself is because you want the person you're introducing yourself to remember your name. That the next time they see you, they can remember that, oh, you are Sunday, oh, you are Anu. So if you're introducing yourself, you have to be very clear, be intentional, pace yourself, and say it in a way that they would remember. So guess what? I come on the show, you see me, and I'm like, hey, what's your name? I don't say Ojo Anulokpo.
Even today you did it, and I remember. I was like, this guy is still.
Yeah, I mean, I learned, and it changed my life.
Emphasis.
With emphasis. What's your name? My name is Anu. You hear the name.
You will not forget.
You won't forget it
anytime soon.
You won't forget it anytime soon. So as you see, basic things like that, but that's really what makes you a personality. I can share many examples. Another one example I would share is there was this time we went out and I was with Dr. Sunday. See, I'm ashamed to say this, but I can't help because no one taught me. I didn't know this. That, hey, it's not just enough for you to just carry your legs and let your legs determine how you walk. You have to know how to move your legs. Guess what? I did not know that you have to be intentional with the way you move your legs and not just let your legs just direct how you walk. What happened? We were walking one time and he was walking by my side and I was walking. And guess what? I was just walking and my leg was just flying on its own.
You're just feeling free.
Yeah, my leg was just doing boom, boom, boom. And I didn't know he was observing me where I was walking. And then he called me and he said, Anu, did you notice how you were walking? I'm like, Pastor, I'm walking. It's not the leg that is doing the walk. The leg
what other revelation do we have?
There's no big deal. But he said, did you know how you were just flapping your legs? And and he told me, see, you have to be intentional with how you walk. That your legs shouldn't just be the one moving you. Your head has to dictate how you walk. And then then he was showing me, imagine somebody teaching you how to walk. Bro!
As a graduate.
Teaching me how to walk. I mean, I was like, and he says, no, you have to know how you're carrying your legs, how and then he was showing me, sometimes some people, they walk and they're just dragging their legs. And I tell them, do you know you're dragging your leg? They're like, oh, I didn't know I'm dragging my leg. Because they're not conscious.
They're not in the
here and now. And he was teaching me that even with the way he walks, that he was giving me examples that, have you seen me walk before? Watch how I walk. I'm intentional with my walk. I lift my legs. I move my strides. I know how the distance. I don't just walk like this and I'm just moving my legs. I know how I pace myself. And this man was teaching me how to walk. Guess what? He was teaching a medical graduate how to walk. Talk about having been a holistic human being. These are some of the things that Dr. Sunday teaches that doesn't come on the show. The final one because I don't want to expose myself too much, but I'll just share one more. But these are these things that I learned from Dr. Sunday. Which one should I share now? So guess what? We were. I think this one was recorded, so I'll share the one.
The one that you talked about walking. Let me contribute to that one.
Yeah.
There's one he taught us too. We were in a group. Yeah. We were walking, and a woman was coming, and the road was narrow.
Please share the story.
Omo Naija now. We don't give anybody chance. We're just walking. And then the woman came down from the pavement.
Yeah, she had to go
onto the road.
To the road.
So as we walk past, Dr. Sunday says, stop. He said, why did you allow that woman to go down for you? He said, you're a man. When a woman is coming, you're supposed to be the one to inconvenience yourself for her to pass. I say, this one is feminism on another level.
Guess what? I was there that day.
Yes.
And he said, you guys are not
observant.
You're not observant. You're not aware. I mean, you're not conscious. He said he had seen the woman already coming.
And he had already cleared.
Yeah.
But we were just coming with him. We didn't take note of the fact that he had moved. We just covered the space he left. We didn't know he was leaving it for someone who was coming.
He saw the woman coming, like you rightly said, and he had moved for the woman. He was thinking that we will follow our eyes have seen the woman and we'll move too. But guess what? We're blind men.
Many people didn't get that.
With our eyes opened. And we're still walking, and the woman, and then he called her and said, can't you guys see it? You see?
Yeah. So so I just wanted to add to that whole thing of learning to walk. DS's middle name is intention. He's never absent-minded. Everything he does it for a reason. If you ask him why he does what he does, he will explain to you in depth why he is doing it and why it works and the results that he hopes to get. He was telling us that he said, this is why some blacks have problems here in Europe. Because if that woman should bump into you, it might lead to some kind of altercation. He said, even if it's a man, he said, be the one to be at peace, be the peacemaker in the way you walk. So you're coming and you see somebody, just give them space, let them pass. He said it doesn't take anything away from you, and it goes again to what you talked about, his humility. So a lot of people be like, why should I give someone else the chance to pass? And they'll be going and they get into trouble, they get into altercations, they get into fights, people hate them. But he has learned to be meek, he has learned to be a servant, to always be the one to give other people space to show themselves. So I saw that in, when you talked about walking outside, I remember that I was like, that day he told us, and he always advised that, look, never you try to struggle for road with a woman or anybody. Always be the one to step aside for someone else.
Beautiful. Amazing. That's great. I'm sure we have one. Let me say this last one. Let me say this last one. This one happened during one of the HMTs here. Oh my God. So guess what? We used to introduce the books here and introduce the show and then advertise the books. So I was doing my work here to be advertised. So I would pile up like 10 books. Pile up like 10 books, and then there's a lady by my side.
Give it to her to hold for you.
So maybe my own job is to talk about
advertise
the
the books.
So I come and then I pack the whole book like this. I give it to the woman there, and I did it the first day. I'll come and then advertise. The woman is there carrying all the books throughout. Then I'll carry the books. I'll say thank you, ma. Then I'll go. And some of what DSA is that DSA will not correct you in the very first time. You will see maybe it will give you like
the benefit of
that. Okay, maybe Anu was
so circumstantial on that.
Maybe
day.
Anu was not so much in the here and now that day. So perhaps the next day you will fix it. So guess what? Anu did not get it. Second day I did the same thing. I came, gave the other woman who was there 10 books or 15 books to hold for me, carry heavy things. And I'm there, I'm advertising the book.
One after the other.
Did it the third day. So DSS said, okay, it's like this my brother is not getting it. I need to help him. So that's on that wonderful day. So I was advertising the books. I was done. He said, I'm going to sit down. See, you not notice that it is a woman that you are giving this amount of books to carry for you. Is it that you not see any man in this place that you can just say, okay, please, sir, can you sit down by my side for this moment so that I can advertise this book? Let this woman not. But I can't see that she's a woman. Why would you do that? And he said, your own concern is just that you want to just talk about the book. That's the only thing that you're focused on. You're not seeing anything. You're not seeing anything apart from just you are advertising the book. But be aware. And and people were there, they were pitying me, that Pastor Sodi has failed. But I knew why I came here, and I knew why I would rather be here for the time being to learn from him. But it was a major lesson because he had taught us that even in many circumstances where it makes us realize that, see, you're not a man just because you have something in between your laps and you're like, okay, I'm a man. But there's a reason behind why you're a man, why you have the physique that you carry. It's because you have to be there to help and be responsible. And so why would you give a woman this amount of books to carry? And I said, oh, okay, I got it. You see those little details, things that I wouldn't have even. Maybe to most people who are here, they might be hearing that Anukini, what's the big deal now? I mean, a woman, she's sitting down, she's carrying 10 books. It's not like you are giving her pots to carry. But Dr. Sunday is not like that. I mean, Dr. Sunday, women, they're trying to. Because when I came here, I never even understood what it meant to. I didn't understand the difference between a man and a woman. I understood we're different physically, but I didn't
Men were
understand.
weaker vessels.
Yeah, but I didn't understand the intricacies of how to actually treat a woman, how to handle women, how to relate with them. And I remember particularly, I'm sure you have a lot of story about this.
Oh, wow.
I would like to,
I
share.
didn't suffer in that one.
Yeah, I would like you to share yours, But I know how we'll come and also they will just say, your head.
You say you are not thinking.
Please talk about your story about
And then they
DSS.
say, oh. You say it's like your head is not working. Why? And when he's done breaking it down, you will really realize that your head
It's not
was not working. It's not an insult. It's just a statement of fact. You will be doing something, you will forget yourself. He will know. He will say your mind is not here anymore. Sometimes I remember when we're moving chairs around and stuff like that, and women will be carrying chairs. You'll be like, Joshua, never allow a woman to carry chair. I say, Pastor, but the chair. He said, no. You're a man. You're supposed to take responsibility.
Yeah.
You're supposed to make sure you do the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
You're supposed to make sure that everything is in order before women come in. Or allow the women stand back while you do it. And do you know something? He doesn't just give these orders. He does it himself. In fact, while you are there standing, considering whether you should do it or not, he's already moving the chairs, the tables by himself.
And then you wake up.
And then you too will realize that, what am I doing? Then you also join.
and then he just gives you your sub. He said, okay, now you're
woken up, Abby. You say, okay, before you were sleeping. So we'll laugh about it. But then he has done something to you. He will make you very conscious that the next time you're in that room, you will not stand around waiting for others to fix stuff for you. You will begin to fix it yourself. Yeah. And that is the same approach he takes to everything. Like you said, he could chill, he could relax, he could be going for holidays, but he keeps engaging. He keeps engaging because he cannot stand to see things out of order and be quiet about it. No. He sees it as a personal responsibility on his part to engage, to fix things, to put things right. And that's the same thing he tries to inculcate in every single one of us that comes around. And he's like, never just leave things to fall apart. Always try to fix it. Always try to speak up. Always try to do something about the situation. And don't just talk about it. Do something. Take actions that will bring about change. So it's with DSA, I really went through a lot. I said, well, I have no other choice. I was supposed to fly aeroplanes for a living. And God said, well, that's not why I created you. I wanted to learn from DSA before going to become a pastor and do whatever it is they wanted to do. So I had to learn the hard way. I had to go through a lot. Sometimes the way DSA will lay into me, I'll just be quiet and I'll keep walking. Later on, people will come and be encouraging me. They'll be saying, don't worry, it is out of love. I said, I don't understand. I'm not, it's just that it's not easy at the time. But, it's just something you have to go through if you really want to change. And pressure creates diamonds.
That's
pressure
right.
creates character.
That's right.
Even the Bible says it, that over time, patience, builds character.
That's true.
And even if at the time it feels harsh, it feels painful, but you're always the better for it. Because when you go into the real world, you begin to realize that you're very different from everybody else. And these are not differences that were there before. These were differences that you did not even know were possible. One of the greatest compliments I got when I went back to Nigeria a couple of years ago is people were telling me, they said, you're just black now. You're not behaving like a Nigerian anymore. And I was very happy because I said, you guys don't know how much pain and suffering it took me to get here. You don't know how much Pastor they had to put up with. And there was a day that we were sitting in a meeting. We were at least 15 to 20 people. And we're just chatting. I was there with my laptop. We were walking and everything. There were people from all over the world. I think even Pastor Derek was there that day. And then I made a mistake with something. And I had sent it to DSA. So DSA saw it. And then when he saw it, he said, Joshua, what is this thing that you did? And then I said, oh, Pastor, I forgot. Pastor said, if you make this mistake again, I will fire you from this house. The entire hall went quiet. Because prior to that time, everybody was chatting. They were high-fiving. Everybody, you could hear a pin drop in the room. He was like, you would be fired from this house. It was as if they poured cold water on me from the crown of my head like this to the sole of my feet. I froze. So I said, no problem. I just focused and I started correct. He said, correct this thing. He said, I've corrected you over and over and over and over again. And you're still making the same mistake. My friends started messaging me on Skype. They say, bro, hang in there. If there's anything we can help you with, they were giving me moral support. but it wasn't easy. So a lot of people don't see this part.
Yeah,
They
of
just see
course.
the results
Of
that
course,
we
of
have,
course,
or they
of
just see
course.
that we're here. And many people don't understand
Yeah,
that,
the process.
yeah, we humans were created to copy.
Yeah.
We're created to model,
Yeah.
to follow models. And
Yeah.
that's why we have parents. And one of the greatest things that has happened to me is having a mentor like Dr. Sunday. Because like I'm saying, if you don't see some of these things for yourself, if you don't get to experience them, they will be out of the realm of your understanding.
Yeah.
Because not many people read wide.
Yeah.
So you need to see these things being put into action. I realized that most of what we do in life, we're not even told. We just copied it from somebody without even knowing.
Yeah.
And that's why they say kids don't even do what you say. They do what you do. They just copy you.
True.
So DSA has been a very great prototype when it comes to, like you said, being holistic.
Yeah.
I would like to add something to that holistic part. There's almost nothing that DSA doesn't know about. Almost nothing. I've sat in meetings with him before where he's talking business. You think that's all he knows, like he's a businessman. He goes full business mode. I've been in meetings where he talks to politicians. You would think he's running for office. And then you be in rooms with him where he's talking to pastors and you know, okay, this guy has really been called to be a pastor. And then you be with him when he's with his family, he's like the ultimate family man. So that holistic lifestyle.
Don't forget sports too when we're watching, and this man is calling names.
When we're talking sports, be it boxing, be it football,
football.
He's somebody who is addicted to knowledge. He loves knowledge. He's hardly out of the loop. It's hard for you to... Sometimes he'll be talking to people from remote countries in Africa. Like, I once saw him talk to somebody from like Senegal or something. And he was mentioning districts in Senegal. He was mentioning places. Of course, we know Senegal and then we know Djibouti. We know the capitals and then we know all of this stuff. Or maybe Kenya, Nairobi. But he will go deeper than that. And I'm like, how do you know all of these places? What time do you have to do all of this research? And sometimes they are impromptu meetings. So it's not like he prepared for them. But he just kind of has them on the inside of him, which is like the daily, self-education that he does. And I realized that wherever he goes, he's able to relate with people.
Yeah.
I followed him to his kids' school before, and he's like out there, the PTA meeting, hanging out with other parents, just chatting up other people, just going back and forth. And I'm like, wow, this is not something that I'm used to because you don't see many pastors going to PTA meetings and talking to other parents who are not pastors. But he just relates because at that time he's a father, he's a dad. He's one of them in the school there, he's a parent. So he relates with them like somebody who is just a parent and he's eating, maybe they drinking something. And when we're done interacting, it's like, we need to leave, we've got work to do. And then we go and then he switches mode and then we're into writing books or whatever it is that we're supposed to do next. So that holistic way of living is quite something that I've seen.
Amazing.
Because a lot of people don't have that. Most people are great in one area while other places are really deficient. But he has made it, in such a way that his life is full and he's able to enjoy as much as he wants. And he's able to even participate in sports. I remember when we started this whole walk thing, when we were going out for a walk, other people will be the ones telling him to slow down. And he'll be the one saying, should we slow down for you? Because especially the ladies who go with us. Yeah. And he's like, I don't want you to walk too fast. And he's even putting his own, interest second. Now he's going to walk out. He knows he needs it. Yeah. But he's willing to, take a few steps back just so that those who are with him can catch up and also feel part of the process. Yeah. So DSA at 54 is a remarkable man. And he's somebody who I've really been blessed and we have been blessed to have in our lives. And I cannot overemphasize how intentional God was by bringing me to him because when I look at...
Talking about intentionality, I want you to say, before we round up our conversation, I don't know if people know your background, your educational background.
Okay.
Yeah. So, because maybe some people might think, oh, maybe this guy does not have what to do, does not have work to do. So he's just here with Dr. Sunday for all of these years, and maybe Dr. Sunday is helping his career, But because I get the same kind of, I get people writing me and telling me almost every week, Dan, what are you doing with your life? Like, to be honest,
you're wasting away.
Like, what are you doing there? You finished as a medical doctor. you went ahead and you did your specialization in psychiatric medicine. Why would you choose to remain with Dr. Sunday
Instead of going to do what others are doing, which is write your exams, begin your housemanship.
Now, why would you decide to stay, to say you want to be with Dr. Sunday? And I don't know if you get that kind of feeling, but what does it mean to you, and what informed that decision, and how has it been so far with you? Because I know, of course, we're not going to be here for life. We're here for a short period of time, and we might be out, soon. But what does it mean to you being a graduate from aeronautics and deciding not to go practice, but rather choose to be under the Sunday's mentorship?
It was a huge sacrifice.
Yeah.
I'm an aeronautic engineer by training. All my life, I've wanted to become a pilot. That is all I've ever thought about. I said I was going to, fly for maybe 15, 20 years. I wanted to go to the US and become a commercial pilot. And then I said I'll be there for 20 years. And then after 20 years, I gave myself a goal that I'll come back to Nigeria and I'll start my own airline. That was my goal. And I said, our airlines in Nigeria are substandard. We've got plane crashes, we've got delays, we've got a whole lot of problems. If you're somebody who is conversant with our Nigerian aviation industry, you would know that it's lacking in a whole lot of things. And in fact, the infrastructure is falling apart, and you just cannot count on our aviation industry to be the best at any point in time. We always have to pray hard whenever we're traveling to make sure that the plane lands. So I saw those problems and I said I was going to fix them. I was going to have my own airline, and that was what I wanted to do. I said, I'm going to the US, I'm going to fly. Nothing is stopping me. So I was done with my aeronautic engineering. So I came to Ukraine because I said, when you're a pilot, it's best if you also understand the mechanics of the plane. So there are people who are just pilots, but I wanted to be an engineer, which is somebody who understands the avionics and understands the functionalities. So I said that would give me an edge over somebody who is just someone who knows how to fly. It's like being a mechanic or a mechanical engineer and also being a driver. You always have an advantage over people who are just drivers. So that's what I wanted, and I came here. But then in my second year, or going to my third year, I got called, and long story short, I met DSA when I was graduating, when I was about to graduate. I was already pastoring in my city. So I said I was about to leave, so I said I was going to spend 2 months with Dr. Sunday. It's now been, almost 6 years.
2 months to 6 years?
Yes. And within those 2 months, God began to make me realize that wanting to fly planes was a very good vision, fantastic idea, but it wasn't what he created me for. And I began to see very clearly that all of my life, that was not what God wanted me to do. I was the one who just had that passion for planes. And I'm still going to fly. I'm still going to own my own airplane at least, and I'm going to take my wife on rides, and we'll fly on weekends. It's something that I love. Small planes, we're going to go. I've done part of that in Kyiv already. So it's going to be part of my life. But it's not something that I'm going to live for, because that was what I wanted to pour my entire life into, aeroplanes. So I said, even if I was going to preach, I'll just tell them Jesus loves you from the cockpit. And that would be the most of the preaching I would do, because my dad always wants me to preach. So I said, that's it. So 2 months became 6 years. And I saw that the more I stayed here, the more my eyes opened. The more passion for transformation came into me. Deep desires that I had that I couldn't interpret. I saw that DSA was just embodying them. And I could see that it was almost like he was living my life, but he was ahead of me, because I had passions in me as a pastor that I could not interpret and I could not express. But with him, he was just living it. And I was like, this is what God wants me to do. And I remember the day I got the revelation that I'm supposed to go back to Nigeria. That was one of the hardest parts of my stay here. It was weird, because I was never going to go back to stay in Nigeria. That was not my dream. I stayed at home for 2 years after high school, because I said I was not going to school in Nigeria. I said I was done with that country. I threw away my jam slips just because I did not want to school in Nigeria. My mates were in school every day. They were like, Joshua, what I did? I said, I'm praying and waiting to travel abroad. I wrote my SATs. I got admission into an aviation school in Florida, and I was supposed to go to the US, but it was way too expensive. So God just orchestrated my whole coming to Ukraine to I believe the main reason is to meet Dr. Sunday.
Tell me about that, bro.
Because when I look at the academic part, I could have done that anywhere else.
Tell me about
But what I'm getting as a mentee, what I'm getting as a son, It's not something that can be replicated anywhere else.
Yeah.
It has completely transformed my life. I thought I knew what ministry meant. When I met him Sunday, he said, "You don't even know what it means to be a pastor." When he said that, I thought he was joking. But then when he began to explain it to me, when I began to read, when I began to delve into what it means to be a pastor, I realized that I was just joking. In fact, I was just being destructive. I wasn't helping anybody at all.
Destructive. Wow.
I was doing it wrong, completely wrong. So I said, "Oh, wow, thank you, Jesus, for liberating me." And I saw that God is trying to raise a new generation of leaders, pastors, and people who will be kingdom-minded, basically.
Yeah.
And that was why he brought me here, to be one of such people who will see firsthand what the 21st century church needs to look like.
Yeah.
Which is not a church-focused kind of gospel that will be preached, but a kingdom kind of gospel, where we will really be lights of the world, not just of the church.
Yeah.
So I also got to see the man, what it takes on a personal level to embody such a message, and how to implement it in society, and how to make sure that this gospel is spread abroad to the entire nation. So these are not things I would have learned if I just read books.
Yeah, absolutely.
Seeing it up close and personal is exactly what God intended for me. So if I want to begin to break down everything that I've learned and all the things that I've seen,
the whole book.
it's going to be a series of books. I don't think it's going to be just one book. It's going to be a series of books. Because for every year that I've been here, I can write a book about what I've learned. Yeah. For every single quality that I've learned, I can break it down and make people really see to the depth of how important these lessons are and why they needed to be learned. Yeah. Because there had to be a complete transformation of my life from the inside out. It's like everything about me had to change. It's like I was just so raw. I was just so, completely just in another planet from where I was supposed to be. Everything, it's like I was doing everything wrong. It's as if I was doing nothing right. That's how bad it was. And I was pastoring, I had pastored 3 churches at that point. So it's like I was doing everything wrong. And when I met him, I was like, this is wrong. That is wrong. That is wrong. That's not how that is done. Read this, read that. This is this, that is that. I couldn't even think. He's the one who taught me how to think. It was like, you're not thinking properly. Okay, here is how to think. This is why you think this way. This is how to continuously think this way. And then he gives you systematic steps of how you can transform yourself from where you are, moving forward to where you're supposed to be. So I was like, oh, wow, this is different. Because I'm used to listening to messages. I'm used to writing notes. But with him, it goes beyond that. You have to practice what it is that you've learned. You have to embody your message. You have to be a living example of whatever it is you're preaching, whatever it is you believe. Because only then can you really make a difference. So I was like, oh, wow, this is... So when it comes to being a pastor, a leader, a father, a man, everything, I've got to experience that from him. And I feel every day that I'm still learning more. There's still a lot more to learn. But at some point, you need to start exercising what you've learned so that there's room for you to grow, for you to understand more. This year, I'm going to be going back to Nigeria by God's grace. And it's been such a wonderful time being with DSA. I'm going to write books about my experience here with him.
Same here.
Because it's something that I cannot really describe just in one sitting, how it has impacted me. But I really hope to bring about the fruits sooner than later so that people will really be able to see that, okay, this is something that I learned and these are the results that we've got to back up everything that we've seen. DSA is not an easy man to learn from because there's too much. There's so much. Sometimes you feel like, oh, you have exhausted something, and somebody will ask him that same question you asked him. Probably you asked him a question one day and he answered it. Somebody will come ask him a similar question and he will give a completely different answer. It will be as if you've not heard that question. It will be as if you've not heard that topic before. And you'll be asking yourself, now, but I thought I knew this stuff. But it's all adding to your knowledge and adding to your understanding. So DSA at 54 is a complete, revelation of, or is a great revelation of what God wants us to be. With his holistic people, effective people, productive people, loving people, powerful people, people who are not just living for themselves, but living to make a difference for God, for them, and not just doing things because you want to do them, but doing things with intention, doing things with zeal, knowing the impact it's going to have, doing things in such a persistent way that you cannot be deterred by anybody. Like you said, people keep laying into pastor insult upon insult. I remember when we started publishing articles about Buhari, I remember the attacks we were getting. It was depressing, even me that was reading. It wasn't directed at me, but just reading those comments, I was like, my God. Ooh. But the DSL will call me the next day, he said, we need to continue writing. And we just kept going, and we just kept going. So his lesson in persistence, in being dogged, in having faith, in believing, in understanding. So it's it's to get to a point, it would be as if we're talking about somebody who is superhuman. But I can assure you that I'm not somebody who is big on human praise, because I grew up around big pastors. Like I said, I grew up around mega church pastors. So being a big pastor doesn't impress me. In fact, one of the reasons why I didn't even rush to him as soon as I came here was because I felt he was just another pastor. They said, oh, he has the biggest church. I'm like, okay, cool. How many people are there? 25,000. Oh, nice. I've been in meetings that are a lot larger than that. And it was all VIP because I was the pastor's kid. So to me, big churches were not a big deal.
Yeah.
But when I met him, I understood that, okay, there's a lot that goes into leading movements. Yeah. There's a lot that goes into being a history maker, a revolutionary, that most people don't see and most people don't read about because they don't even aspire to be that way. Yeah. So when DS started making me to think different, he made me first think different about myself before thinking about the world and things that are possible. So there are a lot of people who cannot imagine in your mind right now. There are a lot of people who cannot fathom the kind of change that is possible until somebody makes you see that you can do this. Like you said, you didn't know you could edit or write a book in 60,000 words in 5 days. But DSA made you do it. And as soon as you did it, you now discovered, hey, this is possible. So that has been my experience here, just unveiling of myself, understanding God, understanding humanity, understanding how the way the world works. And all of this together has made me who I am today. So I'm very grateful for it. Yeah. And I cannot be, happier. I just thank God for DSA. And I want to wish him a wonderful, happy birthday. We're going to be here all week listening to other people share their stories. And over to you now to tell us what your own experience has been like. I've been here a little longer than you have, but you've also had a wonderful experience. You've even gotten to work with DSA more closely these past few years than myself. So what has your own experience been like?
Ooh, like you rightly said, I think to put our experience in words, it would take a volume of books, to be honest. And I'm a little bit emotional now because it's you know how God sort of orchestrates your path and makes you make decisions that seems illogical to people, but even to you, you don't quite get it. But as you go along, just like how God told Abraham to leave, and he had to just take a journey of faith, and he doesn't necessarily know where he's going and what will be ahead of him, but he just had to obey. And my decision, because being a medical doctor is a big deal on many fronts, and even going a step further to even doing your specialization and getting a specialist degree, in psychiatric medicine at the very young age as I am now, gives you all of the leverage you need to build a fantastic career. But I know, and I knew that God wanted me to be here. I knew I was not going to be here for so long, right? But I knew He wanted me to come back. And there's a whole story about how I decided to come back and how God just, made things to work out for good. But to be honest, it's been my best decision yet. The things I've learned, I feel like I don't even know them yet, to be honest, to be very honest. I don't think I'm aware of the changes that have taken place until I leave here. Until I leave this place and I'm out in the world, then I'm challenged with some of the things that I've learned and then I need to put into practice. I think then it will begin to show. But somehow I can notice a few right now, and I'm very thankful, to God. I'm thankful to Dr. Sunday for the opportunity of access. You know, I worked on a book that Dr. Sunday has, it's not published, and the title of the book is Access, a Blessing or a Course, like a course. And access is a test, and I'm grateful that God has helped me, you know, thus far to, you know, get the blessing from the access, you know, because my brother, you understand what it means to have access to someone like Dr. Sunday. Having the opportunity to be with him in several meetings where very confidential things are being discussed, and I'm like, what am I doing here? How did I get here? You know, some contacts with very top personalities in the world that I talk to, that I would never have been opportune to do that, but it's access, you know.
And they now treat you.
And they now treat me with
on a level that you know that.
I'm like, you know, I'm a very young man. And then they're talking to me, and they're not talking, you know, if you're talking to a young man that is in his 20s, maybe you're talking about, oh, how are you? Hope you are eating. Hope. But they're not having those. Now, when I'm having conversations with those kind of people, we're talking about societal transformations, we're talking about national transformation, we're talking about how do we want to change nations, how do we want to make Nigeria a better place, how do we want to create businesses, how do we
national projects,
natural, you know, big things like that my mates are not even thinking about. And to be honest, it's been such a blessing, a life transforming experience being with Dr. Sunday. And you know, I'm saying this to Dr. Sunday. I know that saying thank you doesn't really mean so much to you. So we're saying thank you, but we're just saying thank you by the side. What really means a lot to you is that we leave this place and we go and reproduce everything that you have taught us. And you know, we are praying and we're working and we're doing our best to making sure that when we live here and we are sent forth as your sons, you know, as sons of the kingdom, you know, that we would bring back fruits of the kingdom, we will bring back results, and then we'll make you a proud father, a proud mentor, that, okay, at least I can see my sons, you know, making exploits for the kingdom. So DSC at 54, we're grateful, we're thankful, and thank you for your life of service. Thank you for sacrificing yourself. I see it. I see it every day, how you push yourself. I see it how you are misunderstood by people who you extended a hand of favor to. And it's almost like every time you extend your hand, people are using...
smacking it down.
They're not smacking it down, bro. They are having cutlass and they are literally cutting your hand. And guess what? You still bring the hand out the next time. And you still keep bringing your hand out. And sometimes I feel like, Pastor, can I hold your hand back? And it's like, no. I need to stretch my hands to help people. And you keep doing it every time. And sometimes I'm in my bed and I'm thinking, I'm like, Pastor, how are you doing this? I know that your reward, you know, I know you're not doing it for the reward, but I know that the world, hopefully, would come to know the man that you are. And I hope people will come to understand the way you are, Because I don't fully understand it myself, but the little I understand, it baffles me, you know. And I hope that from other people's testimonies that we're going to have this week, people will not just hear from our stories, because people might think that we're just here and just
they might think we're just sycophants who are just chilling in pastors on this house.
I'm just trying to just say all of the, but I'm hoping that we'll be able to bring people from different walks, different parts of the world, that will be able to share their own testimonies, their own experience with Dr. Sunday. And you know, hopefully the goal is not just to make him the center. The goal of this is to, from his life, pick out lessons and examples and know that, you know, if he's able to do this, I can also do it. Yeah, I can learn from him and I can also replicate it in my life, in my ministry, in my family, you know. So it's such a honor to be here. And
let me add something to what you said about first of all, the thanks thing. I remember when I first told Pastor Sunday thank you and I was showing gratitude. He said there are different ways to thank someone.
Yeah.
He said you can do it through words, you can do it by giving gifts. He said, but the highest form of thanks is to show products out of what it is that you've been given.
Yeah.
He said if they give you something and you just say thank you, he said it's hypocrisy. I said it's nothing. It's just words. He said it doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah.
He said, but because this is a fan of the hard way.
Yeah.
Everything he does, he tries to do it the hard way. He doesn't like to take shortcuts. So he does it the hard. So he said, you have to produce results. And then you can say you're grateful, because then it shows that there was some investment made, and then there was something you did returns with that investment, showing your gratitude. And then, so I was like, wow, okay, I never saw it that way before. Yeah. And then when you talked about his hand and how he stretches it out, I remember when somebody close to Pastor Sunday betrayed him and really went nuclear. When I mean went nuclear, this was somebody who was close to him for over a decade. And this person suddenly left, got disgruntled, and started saying things about him that were false, used his email list to send out, wow.
Ah, people are brutal.
If it were me, time to lock up. I'll call the security man, let's lock the gate. Nobody's coming in, I'm done. But he said something to me. He said, I'm not going to stop loving people.
That's right.
I'm not going to stop letting people come close to me. I'm not going to let this thing change who I am. He said, it took me pain to understand that God is love, and to understand that the best way to love people is by loving like God loves us.
Yeah, that's right.
And he said, normally, because our instinct is, as soon as something goes wrong, for me personally, I don't know about other people, the first thing that comes to my mind is, how do I make sure this does not happen again? They said, it doesn't matter how many people stab me in the back. It doesn't matter how many people misunderstand me. It doesn't matter how many people badmouth me. I'm not going to stop loving people and allowing people to come right into and be close to me. Many people have come here and they've advised Pastor. They say, Pastor, save yourself. This openness is too much.
It's killing you.
This access is killing you. You're letting people, come around. They will take advantage. He told me one day, he said, nobody can steal from you. He said that was what, I think he said it was his grandfather that told him that. And he said, do you know what that means? I said, no, I don't understand it, because people can walk into your house and stay. He said, when you become a personality, when you become a productive and a person, when you become a person of value, there's nothing that can be stolen from you, because everything you have came from you. They can take the physical stuff, but you only end up reproducing that same thing, because it came, because you're the source. So I was like, okay, I've never seen life like that before. So when you said they keep butchering his hand, I just wanted to give people an insight into how DSA thinks. He would not be deterred. He said, I will not stop loving people. I will not stop telling the truth. I remember when he first talked about that, I think it was the Chick Bonhoeffer quote, when he said truth is his best friend. He said, I'm willing to lose all my friends as long as truth is my best friend, because history will end up vindicating me. And that was something I learned, because I'm used to a good name is better than riches.
Reputation.
Yes, protect your reputation at all costs. Don't let. But then I realized that Jesus was not protecting his reputation at all costs. He was willing to die. And every day, like you said, there is sacrifice. JSA dies, almost dying daily. It's almost like with every article, he's dying, because he knows, especially the political ones, because he knows that he's going to get attacked. But it doesn't stop him. So we're here to appreciate his hard work, his sacrifice, the fact that he has put himself on the line as a model for us to be able to learn from for the world to be able to see and know that these things are possible. Because there are some things that you might read in the Bible, and if you don't see someone model it, you might feel, it's hyperbole, it's figure of speech, God doesn't really mean it. But with him, he sees everything as something that needs to be actualized. It's never just theory for him. He tries to practice every single thing, and that's why we're here today.
Beautiful.
So thank you very much for joining us. Please share this link once again. Let your friends know and see what we're saying, because I
Awesome.
believe it might help one or two people to know why we're here,
Yeah.
who DSA is, and why we're celebrating him in this way as he turns 54.
The man DSA. If you're wondering who is DSA, he is Dr. Sunday Adelaja. Before we end today's session, we have a thriller of a movie done by an amazing young man and a few more people. His name is Israel Good News Balogun, and he did a documentary, a short movie that talks about Dr. Sunday's childhood. So I would like us to have the trailer shown, and then would wrap up today's session.
He'll be coming along during the week to show us the rest.
Yeah, of course.
So enjoy the trailer.
Yeah.
Daily Times, June 3rd, 1973, carried this ugly news. Tragedy was the title. Is this a coincidence? They were asking.
Ẹnikẹ́ni tó bá ní nǹkan ṣe pẹ̀lú ìdílé màmá wọn, ègún tó jà wọ́n kù yóò padà sórí onítọ̀hún.
Sunday became bitter with himself. He saw no reason to live. Olorunwa became, another him entirely.
And discover a place where she had put all her jewelries, earrings, and all the jewelries. She had a box for it. So I went and took all that box and went to the bush, dug a hole, and buried the whole thing there. There's no life for me. My life was just revolving around this, just to survive.
Wow. That's amazing. So guess what, guys? This short documentary will be premiered on the 27th of May. Just as we're having the live broadcast now, it's going to be premiered live. We're going to have the brain behind this whole idea, a phenomenal human being, Israel Good News Balogun. So watch out for it. And try to join us every day from now till the D-Day, which is the 28th of May. Dr. Sunday would be 54. Well, from me, I want to appreciate everyone who joined us today. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you for leaving your comments. Thank you for sharing. We'll be back tomorrow. Same time, 7 p.m. Kyiv time, 5 p.m. UK time and Nigerian time, with another guest talking about his experience with Dr. Sunday. My name is Anu Ojo. Over to you, sir.
All right, I'm Joshua Amatare coming to you live from Kyiv. Thank you very much for joining us today. We hope you stay with us all week. Please send DSA your messages. You can send him emails. You can send him videos. You can make, movies, whatever you can. Just send your videos to him or send your messages to him, wishing him a happy 54th birthday ceremony or celebration, and I believe that he would be grateful that you did. Until tomorrow, same time, please make sure you join us. Remain blessed and have a good evening. Bye. For now. Blessings.